Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Soulber Safe Space. This podcast is just all about sobriety and how it will transform your life, and it is the best thing ever. If you're sober curious, I'm hoping you'll get so much inspiration from everything we discuss. If you're not wanting to go sober and you're just having a little listen, be careful because you might accidentally hear everything I say and just end up giving up alcohol. So be careful if that's not what you want. I went sober nearly 2 years ago. It's about a week away from my 2-year anniversary, and it is not a coincidence that in those 2 years, it has been the best 2 years of my life. I decided today I would read my assessment letter I got from a psychiatrist about 5 years ago, because it really highlights how far I've come, and sobriety is absolutely the foundation of all of it. I just want to be clear, obviously you do not just go sober, your life's perfect. There is a lot of work to do, but without going sober, you will not be capable of doing the work that needs to be done. Most of you do know that I have a borderline personality disorder, fellow BPD girly. But I currently do not display the symptoms you'd need to match the criteria. You can't say you don't have BPD anymore. Like, I was diagnosed with it. You have to just manage the symptoms. But if I met with a psychiatrist now, I would not match the criteria to have it, which is amazing. If someone told me that 5 years ago, I wouldn't believe that was possible to even get to this point. And it did take a lot of therapy, it takes a lot of work, but from the day I decided to go sober, I felt like I was capable to put in that work, and it just got easier and easier and easier. It's not like, oh, it's a hard grind every day. I now effortlessly live a really positive, happy, emotionally regulated life, and that is why I created Soulber, because I thought that needs a name. So obviously my whole thing is go sober, become sober. That's because I don't just want to help people stop drinking. I want them to stop drinking and never ever even consider having a drink again. I want them to love their life so much that they just don't understand why other people are drinking around them. They're confused, because I go to events and people say to me, oh, you must find it really hard today, everyone drinking. And I'm like, no, I literally feel bad for everyone drinking. I look around like, bless them, that's a shame they want to poison themselves. And I hope that everyone else can get to that point as well. But obviously it's very difficult in this society. So the main focus of today's episode is just so you can know about me, because I think it's a lot easier to trust what someone says when you know they've put in the work themselves and they've gone from where you might be today to in a really, really, really positive, amazing place. Okay, so we're going to take a look at my assessment letter from the psychiatrist. I got this letter in 2021, and I spoke to a top Harley Street psychiatrist. My poor mum paid out for it because she was so worried about me. And this is the letter he writes up after of what he thinks I have wrong with me, which was a lot. A lot was wrong with me. And it's quite actually shocking to read now that I'm not in that place at all. I'm in shock. But then I start remembering back. That was literally my life. I just had normalised it. So anyway, I'll stop rambling on. So the opening paragraph says, I carried out this assessment with Danielle on the 6th of April 2021. Danielle requested the appointment as she was struggling with her moods and emotions and had been drinking to excess. That sounds like me. Danielle said that around the age of 16, she'd been struggling with her moods and emotions, and they would fluctuate rapidly between very low, then very happy, blah, blah, blah. She's also said how she can be very impulsive. You can already tell this is giving such BPD vibes. Like, it's not a great start for me. She described struggling with feelings of low self-worth and self-hatred and low self-esteem. So before I started my sobriety journey, I honestly did not care if I lived or died. I did not care about myself even slightly. I hoped bad things would happen because I thought then I don't have to do it myself. Like, I can't even relate how that is me, because now I just care about myself so much. I'm so content, I'm so confident in myself. Like, I can't believe that I'm reading the info about this girl and it was me. It's weird, but I think it's really important to do, because like, you have to remind yourself how far you've come. And it's also really good to let everyone know that you might be feeling like how I was when this letter was written, and you probably think there is no way I'm gonna come out of this headspace, but you can. And then you might just start making a podcast, so you never know. So anyway, carrying on. It says, Danielle describes finding it very difficult to be alone in her own company. She said when she's alone, she'd feel anxious, fearful, overwhelmed by her own thoughts, and can physically feel her heart racing. Yeah, so I would literally feel like I was going to have a panic attack the second I was by myself. And that is why I ended up constantly at parties, constantly having parties. I would stay at afters until, well, I'd just stay until I was kicked out, because I thought anything is better than being sat alone. And I do think this is why people end up so into drink and drugs, because it is a way to stop yourself having to be alone. You can always find someone to go to the pub with. It's a lot harder to find someone to go for a nice walk with. You put in your group chat, do you want to go for a quick wine? Do you want to go for a quick beer? You're going to get a much better response than saying, do you want to go for a sea swim? But that's what I'm aiming to change. I mean, if you're in my group chats, everyone does want to go for a sea swim because they're the kind of people I'm with now. But it is very difficult to find friends like that. And if you're coming from a place of non-stop partying, you're gonna think, well, how am I ever gonna have company? I'm gonna have no friends. So I really want to build a community so that when you do begin your journey, you've immediately got support. And please reach out to me if you feel like that, because there's nothing worse than feeling like you're by yourself, and you're obviously not. Like, trust me, you're not. And you know what? Even if you are by yourself for a little bit and you have to rebuild every single friendship group, that's fine, because you've then got the time to work on yourself and really find out who you want to be and what your boundaries are before you make these new friendships. So it then says, Danielle also said that she has misused alcohol and drugs excessively since the age of 18. That's not good. That is what I did. And that is why I ended up so wanting to unalive myself. Like, it's literally a chemical reaction. Like, of the chances of you actually committing suicide goes up so significantly when you take alcohol or cocaine, but taking them together, what are you doing? That is not a good thing to do. First, you've got to remove the chemical that's actually making you feel like that, and then you know how you truly feel. And then if you truly feel really depressed and that you need help, well, then you can get the help, you can tackle what's actually the problem, and you can work on it. You cannot work on it if you are not sober. And that is what my therapist said to me, which is what began this whole journey. I'd had a few therapists and it never worked out, which is a classic BPD thing. But when I realised it was becoming life and death, I got this therapist. Again, my poor mother paid so much money for her. I'm so grateful. And I know not everyone is in that financial situation, which is why I want to put out everything my therapist taught me online so that people can have it for free. I know it's not going to help the same as one-to-one, but I would advise, if you're struggling, invest the money you do have either on a Soulber coach or a therapist, depending what your troubles are. Okay, so it then says his impression, which is, from my assessment, I believe that Danielle presents traits and characteristics of emotionally unstable personality disorder. I was very emotionally unstable. This has been characterised by evidence of emotional instability, impulsivity, outbursts of frustration, irritability, difficulty coping with stress, the need for immediate gratification, negative self-image, lack of self-worth, difficulties forming and maintaining stable relationships, fear of abandonment, and excessive substance use. That is really not a good way to be described. What the hell? Like, that is not how you want to be described. And I actually thought that wasn't even that bad when I first got diagnosed with that. I was like, yeah. Now I'm reading that, like, I think I'm the polar opposite now. Oh my god, thank goodness. Thank goodness. So obviously this was just like a really brief overview of where I was, the place I was in, to where I am now. It was such an up and down journey, and over the different episodes I will speak more in depth about each of the different chapters until I actually cracked sobriety. Please send me in any questions you have that I might be able to answer and help you with, anything at all. But over the different episodes I will talk about when I went volunteering in Tanzania, I will talk about when I first moved out. We can discuss everything. I'll go into depth about what my therapist did that helped and what didn't help, and hopefully some people can take from what I learned and apply it to themselves and feel hopefully in as good a place as I do now. So hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if there's anything you want me to discuss in episode 2.